Welcome back, guys, to the This So Much More podcast. I'm Evelyn and my co-host is
Rollie Vogues.
And today we have a special guest.
Hi, Alan Garza. I'm running for United States Congress.
There
Dang,
we go.
just
there
like
you go.
that. So official, right?
Yes, sir.
Ready.
All right, Alan, welcome to the podcast, bro. I know we've been talking about getting you on, and I think what was going on with that, though, is like we were booked so ahead of time that we were trying to, I think we didn't record last week, right?
Yeah, no.
Just
it was
so,
our first week off in like a long time.
Yeah, just so that amount of people that we already booked ahead can like kind of like
catch up
with us. Mm-hmm. And then
wait, when did you reach out to Roland about booking?
It's been a long time.
Maybe a couple months ago, but
Yeah.
no,
Like earlier this year?
Yeah.
Or midsummer?
I think it was like midsummer.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it was when y'all did the updated episode, and y'all first talked about like the 100 episode event, and y'all were kind of discussing that. So I was like, oh, they sound busy, so it's probably gonna be a while.
No, actually, I just booked a girl that she reached out way back then. She reached out in March.
Oh, wow.
Of this year.
Yeah.
But she was on my list that I wanted to get her on. You know, it's just we had been booked. So I was like, man, and I told him when we took our break, we ended up meeting. We're like, okay, well, we only have 4 spots left, right? And then we need to pick like 4 people that from our long list, we need to pick 4 people that we want like to really bring on and just have a finish off the year great, right?
Yeah.
So then we booked you. We booked we actually ended up out of the 4 spaces, we still have 1 because one of the people we picked, they're not available, right? So then we're like, okay, we have 1 spot left, so now we have like an opening.
Yeah.
But we have to go through the list again. But people don't understand that sometimes, you know.
Yeah, so it kind of seems like, oh, we're not trying to book, or you know, and then we do meet about stuff. So whenever you're like you know, you ask me like, hey, like do you have a date or anything, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get with her. And
yeah, I handle all the dates.
Yeah, so I just gotta ask her like what's available, you know. But I'm glad you're here, you know.
I know, I'm super excited.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, I'm honored to be here. I saw what y'all were doing, and y'all had different events going on. So I was like, oh, they're super busy.
Yeah, I'm so glad that is over.
Yeah.
And also, I want to give him a huge shout out, guys, because he's the only one that pulled up to the event for our latest milagro. I totally forgot. It was so busy that I forgot to even like promote. I think I only promoted it once, you know?
Yeah.
And the fact that I only promoted it once and you still showed up, honestly, thank you so much, because it was just so crazy, like the day, right?
Yeah, it was.
No, my pleasure. And I think it's so cool that y'all are doing that. I remember I think it was the second time y'all did it or the third time y'all did it, and I was like, oh, that'd be like cool to support. But I was like, I think I was in DC or something.
No, yeah, it's super, it's just one of those things that like, when you do it, like, you know, and then sometimes you just want to and you just can't, or, you know, just life happens or whatever. So thank you for that.
No.
But getting into you said you're running for what again?
Yeah, so I'm running for United States Congress here in District 29. And so that encompasses like the southeast part of Houston. And if you think about like the Beltway, it kind of like loops around and follows the Beltway all the way until it goes to like 45 North and like Greens Point, or some people say Guns Point or whatever. But yeah, like that whole area.
Yeah.
And then back down almost right before it gets to downtown if you follow 45.
That's like a whole segment? Like that's District 29?
That's District 29. So that's like 750,000 people. And yeah, so I, as congressman, I'd be going to Washington, D.C., and basically representing our interests, our people, on federal issues. Right?
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into all that, and I really do want to touch on that, I kind of want to know a little bit about you, like growing up. Like, you're from Houston originally and everything?
I'm kind of glad you stopped it, because I already have like a bunch of questions.
Because I do want to know when like the politics and everything like kind of piqued your interest.
Yeah. So let's go back, right?
Yeah.
Where did you like grow up?
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up here in Southeast, like off, I think it was like Telephone and Ipswich is like the first where like I was born in that house, and I lived there till like I was 6. And then I grew up around like the Hobby Airport area, so like by Dow Park.
Yeah.
And went to Chavez, Dobie, East Early. I don't know why I went to 3 different high schools.
Hey, I went to 3 different high schools, so I get it. Yeah. Wait, did you go because you wanted to keep moving, or?
It was a lot of it was sports related stuff.
Yeah, because East Early. Where did you start? What school?
At East Early. So that's where I met.
Yeah.
Rollie. That's where we first met.
Yeah.
Y'all are the same class.
Yeah, we're the same class. And then.
So you left what, sophomore year?
after my freshman year. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, I didn't see you because I went to East Early.
Oh. Okay.
But I went when I was a freshman, he was a junior.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't remember. Because he's like, yeah, we went to school together. And I'm like, but yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I was already gone, and then I went to Chavez for a year, and then I went to Adobe for 2 years. That's where I graduated from. But my dad is really what got me interested in politics. He was a truck driver. Well, he owned a small business, right? So he had a few trucks, but he drove one of them. And so as a kid, I'd go with him on like trips to like Utah or like Phoenix or Colorado. And he would like listen to like radio talk shows about like political issues, and we'd talk about it. So that always like kind of, I think, where it started.
Yeah.
And then I think, so when my dad passed away when I was a kid, I was like 13. And so after that, I think it just kind of like stuck with me, like that interest in politics and history.
Do you feel like it was like a thing where you just felt connected to your dad?
I mean, maybe. I never thought of it that way. I think I just like a genuine interest grew from that. And I think seeing his concern for things that were going on, whether it be in the local community or like nationally, and just like the curiosity, right? He was always like reading and stuff, so that like rubbed off on me, right? I'm always like, reading
That's
books
so
and
cool.
stuff. So a lot of it, I think that's where like the interest came from.
And is your dad like what, first generation, or he was born somewhere else?
He was born in he was born in like near Brownsville.
Oh, okay.
Down by the valley.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so my grandma's house, she passed on his side. She passed away, but their backyard fence right now is literally the border wall.
Oh my
Are you
God.
serious?
Yeah. So when I was a kid, it wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so we'd go and like for like their birthday or something, we'd play hide and seek. And we would jump over the border all the time. We didn't even know it. We'd hide in. There was a farm on the other side of the field, like a cornfield.
Oh my
and we'd
God!
Hide and then when the ICE would like the border security people would pass by, my mom would be like, "They're gonna get you." I'd be like running, and so they probably thought I was like trying to. Like, I had no idea. Yeah, and then when I was like 15, they put the wall up. Yeah.
Oh wow! So it's like the backyard.
Yeah, the backyard.
Is that like close to Juarez or no? I'm trying to think. No, that's El Paso, right?
Yeah, El Paso's like on that side.
Yeah, no, it's like
it's further down.
further all the way down.
Oh, all the way down. Oh, yeah, right. I was confusing it because I would have been like, dang, your border, like if y'all are like right there with Juarez, I'd be so scared.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think just it stemmed from that. I always had an interest in it, and it stuck with me like in college. So I did like political science in college. I did electrical engineering and political science because of that. And and then I ended up going to law school, and so I graduated. Was that like a year ago, I think? So.
Wait, so you're an attorney?
Yeah, I'm an attorney. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. So that's like basically you had this interest in politics, and then you ended up getting into like law school. Now you're an attorney, right?
Yes. So I did engineering first because I was scared that I wouldn't like law school. And
was it hard?
Law school? Yeah, it was hard. I think engineering is harder. Law school was really hard though. I think the amount of reading just makes you want to drink a lot. Honestly.
Is it just like memorizing like
Yeah,
I know engineering is like math and
I think math, I love math, but I hate, I've grown like to like reading as an adult, right? But the younger me hated reading. But I feel like for law, I think if you're in law school, you probably need to have like some sort of like passion for it, right?
Yeah, you definitely have to have a passion for it. There's people that get through it without the passion, and I think they hate it. Like you always meet lawyers that are like telling kids like, don't go to law school, it sucks, you know. Like, but I was super fortunate to go and also do things that I'm really interested in. So, like the type of work I do is data privacy, so it deals a lot with. So
my question is, whenever you went to law school, did you? I don't know if I heard this right, but did you have to like pick 3? Like if you're going to do criminal or personal injury or something, did you have to pick that or no?
No.
Or how does it work?
Yeah, law school doesn't really work that way. Everyone the first year takes the same courses. So criminal law, constitutional law, contracts, property, things like that. And then after that, you can really pick courses that you're interested in. So for me, I initially wanted to do intellectual property. But then it switched over to data privacy, so I did data privacy courses, and
And that just means that you protect like the companies or people's privacy, or what?
Yeah, so essentially the specific thing that I do is I work with, at a law firm, we help big tech clients basically respond to government requests for information. There's other types. There's other types, right? There's, civil litigation. People ask for, I want X person's data for this day because I'm suing them, right?
Okay.
But then I work on the government side, where we respond to like search warrants and subpoenas and court orders, and we make sure that basically those requests are complying with
So
what the law requires.
is it like when you saw the show? Sorry, babe. What were you gonna say?
No.
I was gonna say. So you've seen the show? What's it called? Suits, right?
Yeah. I've seen a little bit of it.
You think it's actually like, is it too fake? Because I've met people that like Grey's Anatomy, like, and I've talked to nurses and doctors, and they're like, that's too much.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely exaggerated. I think I saw this one video kind of reviewing it, and it's so funny where they'll like throw a brief at somebody, and they're like, wow, this is great, this is gonna win the case, and it's like nobody reads in like 10 seconds.
I know,
that would take me like a day,
Yeah, like it's like that, because I seen that, and I'm just like,
yeah,
okay,
I'm like, nah, that's not, but I think there's a few things about it that's right, just like as far as like big law firm culture goes, right? Like meeting your billable hours, that's always like a challenge. You don't really have like set hours, right? You kind of like 9 to 5.
What are your hours? Not like, what do you have to meet, like your requirement?
You have to hit at least 2,000 hours legal billable hours, right? But the issue, it's difficult because not everything you do is billable, right? Okay. So it's only billable when I'm working on something specifically for a specific client. If I'm just like doing research because I need to know about a new law that passed, right?
Then
and it's not for any specific client. It's just for me to learn because I need to know this stuff. That's not billable. And so you could spend 2 to 4 hours doing stuff like that, right? Or there's extracurricular stuff, like I helped with like the summer interns, right? That stuff, they're trying to make it billable now, but that stuff generally isn't billable.
Wow, it's completely different from like a personal injury law firm.
Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah, completely. Because I feel like obviously like I've worked at 2, now 3 law firms that for PI, and their contracts are so small. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just like when I'm like looking up for a client, I'm just like, okay, let me make sure how many is in one case or whatever, and I just like, it's such as like a 2-page if anything.
Yeah. So, I mean, some of the stuff we deal with is short like that, but sometimes it's just stuff that you would there's teams of people, right?
Yeah.
Reviewing things.
So how do you feel like working in law and now going to run for Congress?
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, run for Congress.
Yeah. So I mean, I think what I'm trying to, I guess one of the things I'm trying to do with this campaign is really educate people on why it's important to be involved, right? And I started thinking about this maybe a couple years ago, and then last year was when I graduated, when I was like, all right, well, as far as education goes and kind of work experience, there's really nothing left to do. If I feel called, or if I feel like I have a responsibility to do something, I mean, now's the time, right? And so I had this conversation with my family, and I told them, I want to run for Congress, I think it's important and all that. And they're like, well, what would you do? Like, what is that, right? So like, especially my cousins, one of my cousins, she still gets it wrong. She tells everybody I'm running for governor. I'm like, no, that is not the quote. I'm like, oh, she's gonna see this and laugh. But so a big part of it is explaining to people what a congressman does, why it's important to be informed about what they do, what they're doing, not just in Congress, right?
Yeah. Also
here in local politics. We have a local election coming up next week, and just bringing awareness to that, right? And letting people know that a lot of the issues that perhaps you see day to day that you care about, these people make decisions that impact that, right? Whether it's like cost of living, whether it's, you know, what happens at your specific industry at work, right? So like maybe one thing we can talk about here is like, how does artificial intelligence regulation impact creative people, right? People that, or how does censorship impact, you know, business owners who advertise on the internet, right? And these are all things that, you know, there's something that impacts you and that these people are legislating about. But I feel like at least, you know, my family and the kind of like the community I grew up in, they don't really like follow that, or they think it's not important, or they don't know, right?
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of it is like, or how I see it sometimes is like, oh, it's not even gonna affect me.
Yeah.
Or it's never, you know, I'm never gonna see the change, and I'm gonna feel like I'm a part of that change or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a lot of, I feel like it's a lot of people's thoughts.
Yeah, honestly, I've never been one to be super like into politics. So that's why when Roland told me like, oh, then you wanted to come on, I'm like, it'd be kind of cool just so like we can like pick your brain, you know, and get like information. And people watching is probably like, you know, it's of the age group varies, right?
Yes.
So then it's good. Like it's just
because
give it the information, giving them the information where we can understand, kind of.
Yeah, because even
like,
then, I feel like I have questions that might seem redundant, or they
like what?
Like, no, it's just like I'm thinking of questions. I don't want to just like throw questions out there that are gonna like, you know, take the conversation this way or whatever. But it's just like I'm like, are people gonna look at me like, damn, you really don't know, like, you know?
But I think it's normal. I think
it's normal.
Totally
it's normal. It's,
yeah, like I think it's just like he said, like his family was like, what?
No.
What are you? The cousin saying he's running for governor? Like,
And it's it's worse. She thought there was 25 states. There's 50 states in the United States.
okay, yeah,
Right?
that's crazy.
That's crazy.
All right, maybe that's just her. All right, no, I'm not gonna share her name. No.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's really.
But
bad.
so okay, so you said you're running for Congress, right? District 29. How many district is there in Houston?
So it's broken down by states.
Oh, okay.
So each state gets, there's 435 members of Congress, right?
Okay.
Each state gets a certain number based on how many people there are in that state.
Oh,
so
okay.
Texas gets a lot, right? California gets a lot. New York gets a lot.
Yeah.
I think there's, I forgot now. There's like 38, 39 representatives in the state of Texas.
Oh, okay.
Because Houston's so big, we get like, I think there's around like 5 or 6. But if you look at the map, they're drawn really weird. So there's going to be parts where like a district covers part of Houston, but then it goes out like farther out towards Katy, right?
Oh, okay. Do you have that map?
I have a video on, I kind of talk about
Like the
map.
okay.
And it looks really weird. We could talk about why it looks so weird.
You can send us that map because I think it'd be good that once this episode releases, it'd be good to share it just so they're like, oh, that's what they were talking about, you know?
Yeah, so on my website, I have information on, so a lot of people are like, oh, we want to support you. That's so cool. And I'm like, well, that's great. And I appreciate the support. There's things you can do. But do you know if you live in the district? And most people don't. Right?
We live in the district, right?
I'm pretty sure you do. And on my website, I have a link to where you plug in your address and it tells you who what district you're in, who your congressman is, and also your like state representatives, right?
Okay. That is so crazy. I had no idea that you had to live in like to be able to like vote, right? Like
to vote for that specific race, yeah.
And how many people are like in the race with you?
So as of, I think a couple of days ago, right now it's just the incumbent, the person that holds the position right now. Right, and so there's two parties, right? There's Democrats and Republicans. So the Democrat holds it right now. There's one person that's challenging them in the Democratic side, and then for Republicans, which is what I am, there's just me, and they have until like middle of December for other people to join, and then after that it's like cut off, and then we go to the primaries in March, and the primaries, that's where the Republicans pick their candidate. The Democrats pick their candidate. And then next November 5th, that's when the general election is. And you pick a Democrat or Republican. Right?
Oh, okay.
So it goes all the way down to just the two parties.
Pretty much. I mean, there's the whole discussion about, independence and third parties.
Yeah.
And
like Kanye and stuff.
Too.
Like,
yeah.
Not obviously not for this, right? But you know how
they have
he would be
Green
considered.
Party, right?
Green Party, Libertarian Party. There's all sorts of parties.
Okay.
But that's only if they sign up by December of this year.
Everybody has to. Actually, there might be other ways for it, but as far as the primaries, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I guess before we go on a quick break, my question is like, are you like getting like funded, or are you paying for out of pocket?
I'm paying for most of it out of pocket, which is part of why I'm doing it now versus like, you know, when I was in college, I didn't have any money.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then also like a lot of people have started donating, family and friends and stuff. So
Dope.
Okay, cool.
Well, with that being said, guys, we're gonna go on a quick break and we'll be back.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
And we are back. So you were gonna ask him a question?
Yeah, you know, about the whole campaigning. Mm-hmm. Okay, so is there like a plan that you have, or like certain things that it's pretty much marketing, right? For the race.
So advertising and getting the word out about the campaign is like essential to win, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a big part of that is money. I think that's one of the biggest deterrents for why people don't do this.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I think you see a lot of people with money who like come from money enter politics, because it takes a lot of money. Right. And I'm not one of those people. Right. But I think my plan is really to go grassroots. Right. So that means talking to family, friends, like word of mouth. So we've been doing like a lot of block walks. We've done 3 block walks so far, which I think is unusual because it's like a year away. But that's where we go to like door to door. Right. And we pass out flyers. We tell people about the campaign. We tell people about.
But even those flyers cost money.
Yeah, so even those flyers cost money. Like we've spent.
And the people walking with you are volunteers, or you have to pay them?
No, they're all volunteers. So shout out to like my family and friends. I have like a whole team of people that are like putting in their time.
Yeah, shout out to them
and their skills. So I have my cousin who's like came up with the branding for the shirt.
Yeah,
real quick. Right?
I'm wearing the shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not like no gilding, guys.
Yeah.
So Alan brought us the hat and some merch, which he did.
Yeah, my cousin did that, Rob.
So nice little screen printed T-shirt, and then printed on LA Apparel.
I know, our favorite.
Yeah,
that's good blanks, bro.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rob. You
Thanks.
said Rob?
Yeah,
Rob.
And then I have my friend from college, Adam. He's like the campaign treasurer. Which is like, that's a big task because he has to file reports with the Federal Election Commission.
And you pay him for that?
No, he does. I just called him up one day and I was like, hey man, I need your help with this. He's like, all right.
Yeah. That's crazy because, not obviously not the same, but when I used to be the PTO president, I had to have like the person handling the money, and I know it's not easy. Like
it's not, and then there's a lot of risk if you get these reports wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
So he's helping, and then I have other folks, uncles and whatnot, doing like the event coordinating. So we're having a big campaign kickoff this Sunday, November 5th.
Oh yeah, you were telling me.
Yeah, so we're having that, and then people just coordinating the events and spreading the word. And so, yeah, I mean, that's how we're going about it. I think.
Where is your event on Sunday?
At Sunday, it's at my uncle is hosting it at his house. So y'all are both welcome to come if you have time. I know you'll have a conflict. But,
we have an
an all-day event.
That's the reason why our house looks like this.
So that we'll be having that. So if everyone's welcome to come. So I can share the information with y'all and we can post it or something. But,
okay, yeah.
Yeah. And that's, it's just like a formal campaign kickoff to kind of make the big announcement and, get people shirts and hats and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Super exciting.
Yeah. So a lot of, like, my cousins helping with the decorations and,
Have you thought about getting, like, sponsors, or is that something that you kind of have to, like, go through the books to make sure it's, like...
Yeah, so that's the other difficult thing. Anything dealing with money in the campaign is governed by campaign finance laws. And there's just so much, it makes my head hurt. So many rules around how much money you can collect and who you collect it from, and you can't get money from most businesses, or there's like a way to do it. And then there's packs, and like everyone has a limit. So for example, if my uncle's giving money, I have to track how much money he gives, because once he hits his limit, he can't give it anymore, because then other than that, it's illegal.
Wow.
So,
yeah, that is crazy.
So it's it's a lot to keep track of. Yeah. So it's
sorry.
So you have like books and stuff, like keeping track of all this stuff.
Well, that's what your friend helps you with.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I wouldn't be. There's no way I'd be able to
just
do it.
juggle
do this
everything
on my
like
own.
that.
There's
Yeah.
just absolutely.
So they
no
can't
way.
do. Hey, I'm gonna send you through Zelle.
No. We have a thing on the website where you can donate.
Oh, okay.
Right, but then if you give over a certain amount, you have to put like your employer and something else.
So if it's just somebody like, I don't know, one of your followers that wants to give you $100,
Yeah.
they can go and do it through there.
Yeah. So if you wanted to, you could go to the campaign website and donate through there. We also have the shirts and the caps for sale on the campaign website. And that's all going to be really important, right? But I think at the end of the day, what's really going to help us win is just going out and talking to folks.
And spreading the awareness.
Spreading the awareness about the issues, about the election generally. And just talking to people about it, right?
Yeah.
You could take that route, right? And I've met some, congressmen and some, people that are in the political establishment, the experts, right? And they say, it's going to take X amount of dollars, and they told me not to do it, right? They told me don't do this. They told me if you're going to run, go run in the suburbs, right? Because you're going to have a better chance of winning there. And I told them, this is where I'm from. This is where I grew up. And so if I'm ever going to do this, I'm going to do it here. And if I lose, I lose. Okay. But I'm not going to shy away from something difficult and go do it somewhere else where it's like more convenient just to win. Because then I'm like losing sight of what's important.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
get the title,
Right.
but then
Not where you want it.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's not about where I want it, but it's what it takes to get there, right?
yeah.
What it's going to take for me to win is going out, telling people about the issues, telling people about the election, and explaining to them why it's important and why they should vote for me, right? I could go to the suburbs where I might get support from some big donors, get some more money, have them run the ads, and maybe coast to a win, right?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to do what I'm trying to do in this district, right? Because of the statistics around Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah.
This district is 78% Hispanic, right? I'm Hispanic as well. And the thinking is because everyone is Hispanic, they're going to vote a certain way. They're going to vote Democrat. So don't even try running there. And I find that kind of offensive, because it's like you think that because I'm Hispanic, I'm going to think a certain way. Like Hispanics have all different types of views and a diversity of views, right? And so, I take offense to that. And so partially because of that, I was like, I'm going to run here. Nothing's going to stop me from doing that. And if I lose, I lose. But I honestly think we can win, because when I'm out there talking to people, people are excited, people are interested, but no one has given them the time of day. No one has actually gone out. And
What are
knocked on
you
their
telling
door.
them?
Yeah. What are you?
Yeah, because I'm trying to see, like,
Yeah.
what are you telling them? Because, when the guy said, oh, they're Hispanics, they're going to vote Democrat.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's
it
true.
is.
I vote Democrat.
That was one of the things that seems dumb or whatever.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that whenever I started voting, I was just whatever my mom told me.
Yeah.
I just put Democrat. Boom.
Yeah.
Just
Democrat,
all
oh.
across, and then people are in and out. I get my sticker and I'm good.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I voted.
Yeah, I posted on Instagram. Yeah. I did my duty.
So
Yeah.
I'm kind of I'm intrigued to know, because you say you're Republican, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
and then
yeah.
you're saying that Hispanics do vote Democrat.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out like why, right?
So here's my take on it, right? I think for a long time, Democrats have been seen as the party that supports Hispanics because of the whole immigration issue. Right?
Oh, okay.
I think that's the main thing.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at least in my experience, I don't necessarily associate with Republican Party. I more associate with conservative principles, right? So things like emphasis on family, emphasis on hard work, responsibility. In my experience, a lot of those values that are conservative overlap with values that I think Hispanic people value a lot. Right? But people get caught up on the immigration issue. And I think there's certainly a lot of, there's certainly Republicans and conservatives out there who are, very tough on immigration, secure the border, deport everybody, right? What I'm trying to offer is basically build a conservative platform, right? That's still conservative, but on the immigration issue, I think offers a reasonable solution, right? So I'm all for about, strong borders, but I also think that we have a duty and a responsibility to people that have been here in this country, perhaps illegally, through no fault of their own, and offer them a path, a reasonable path to citizenship. Right?
Are you talking about like the DACA people?
Yeah, things like that. And I think Hispanic people believe there are no Republicans who think like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, as soon as they think Republican, it's just
it's like Donald Trump.
But because, you as Hispanic, sometimes you come across Republicans that, my dad's Republican, and my dad's very right? My dad's just
but then I feel like that's where they, I don't know. It's almost like Republican is just more American or something like that,
Yeah.
And,
Like, I feel like, okay, you're Hispanic, right? And you're saying, I'm going for Republican. So that's why I was like, okay, so whenever you go talking to people and you're like, oh, yeah, like, you're giving them the time of the day, right? Time of day? Time of day. What do you tell them when you're talking to them?
I mean, I think it depends on the specific issue. In my experience, what I've been encountering is people are either really, really passionate and into the whole political world, and they have very detailed questions, or they have no clue what's going on.
Okay, so if you came knocking to our door, and we're the people you're talking to, how would you start the conversation?
I think I usually start it with, do you know who your congressman is? And that usually gives me a good idea.
My answer is no.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then I explain, all right, well, I'm Alan. I'm running for Congress in District 29. The current representative is Sylvia Garcia. She's a Democrat. I'm a Republican. I typically actually don't say the parties. And if you look at my website and my content, I don't mention Republican a lot, or really hardly ever, because I'm trying to build something that gets people to think about the specific issues as opposed to Republican, Democrat. Right? I really truly want to try to build something that tries to get rid of just blindly following ideology, blindly following I'm Hispanic, so I should vote Democrat, or I'm X, so I should vote this.
Yeah.
Right?
Honestly, that's a good approach for it, right?
Not saying the party.
Not
right
saying
away.
the party, because I didn't even know that, the whole time we were talking, and then you said, oh yeah, I'm running for, I would have,
get out. No,
my house, Democrat. No, but it's just one of those things that I'm glad you're approaching it like that. But I also, do you think it's that you're approaching it like that because you're younger, on the younger side, and your perspective is different? Because I feel like you're approaching it to where, like you said, this is the idea, this is what we want, and at the end they're gonna be like, oh snap, you're
well, there's a few reasons. I think one strategy is I want people to have real genuine discussions about the issues, and when you start talking about party, people are already painting this picture of what they think you're gonna say,
and anything you might say is gonna come off wrong.
It's already
now.
Tainted, right?
Yeah.
But I've had conversations without mentioning the party, and then people are like, wow, that sounds really reasonable, and so, oh yeah, by the way, I'm Republican. They're like, did I just agree with a Republican?
Yeah.
Kind of shocked. Yeah. I'm yeah, you see, let's try to put the party distinctions to the side for a minute and see what we actually think.
It's like political gangs, right? Or something.
Yeah, honestly, it really is. It really is.
Yeah.
But I mean, Bloods and Crips have things in common sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So we're going back to the script. Well, not a script, but role play, right? You're coming and you're like, well, do you know? We say no, we don't know. And then you're not gonna tell us either, right? So then how would you go from there?
So then I typically say, well, I'm running for Congress, and as a congressman, I'd be, representing you in DC and voting on federal national issues, right? So things that, impact the cost of living, things that, impact immigration, things that impact development of emerging technology, right? So artificial intelligence, there's a bunch of other new technologies like quantum computing. I don't know if you've heard of like CRISPR and gene editing and like neurotechnology. There's all these crazy new technologies that are out there. There's no laws on them yet, right? And so it's like, well, what limits do we need to put on these technologies, if any? What limits do we need to put on how people use them, how companies use them, right? How our kids use them, right? And I just kind of, and usually along that route, they, respond to, oh yeah, I cared a lot about that issue.
Yeah.
And then we talk about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So about like, do you change what you say, but do you, like, if you come up to like a young person versus an older person, are you kind of like explaining different things to them that might like, because an older person, like, about AI, they'd probably be like, I don't care about AI.
Yeah, no.
Like, a younger person, they're the ones using the face filters and you know what I mean?
Yeah. So the way I've approached the technology point with older people is they don't care about AI, but they care about their kids.
Yeah.
Right. And their kids are dealing and using AI, right? And it's only going to grow more. Like, I don't think it's out of the question that in a few years, our teachers are going to be either AI or AI assisted, right? Our therapists, our doctors, our surgeons, a lot of these.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I think they're already using it like in China or somewhere, Asia. They put like these like headbands on kids, and if that thing gets like a green light or a red light, and if their eyes are like not on their homework or something, their light turns red or something.
Are you being serious?
Focus.
No, yeah, I'm not gonna joke around.
No, I'm just saying, like, where did you see this? Was it like
no, I'll pull it up. I can pull it up. But
okay.
yeah, and there's somebody watching it's a real thing. But
okay.
There's somebody looking at their laptop and making like, they have the kids like the lights, and it just shows like their focus. Like, if they're focused on the work
because what I've not that to that extreme, but I worked at a school where the kids are all on laptops and the teacher can see what students like going out to another like website or something.
Yeah.
Like, I can see that, but like that's crazy.
No. I'll pull it up.
She's calling fake news on it.
No, I'm just saying, like, that's super random. Like, I've never seen it or heard of it.
Unless
like,
they don't have headbands. No, I'm tripping, but
he made up a whole story.
Because that one, I'm like, okay, is that the same one or what?
No, I said I worked at a school.
Oh, then no. Then I must be right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so that's how you
facts.
approach it with, with the kids, kind of for the older generation.
Yeah, and they typically respond well to that. And also, I think, if you talk to older folks, I think a lot of, just generally speaking, I think a lot of people are tired of like the division and the extremism, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think, on both sides, on the right you have like the kind of Trump MAGA brand that's super far right, and then on the left you have kind of like the AOC, like super far left progressives, and then people are kind of like stuck in the middle, and they're like, I don't have any like reasonable option to go to, and I think people are tired of that, and I think it drives people away from politics. And when I speak to older folks, they're like, yeah, it's not what it used to be. Like, the parties are not what they used to be. They're so far more extreme.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then I feel like what I've seen a lot is like, people were super against like, Trump and Republican stuff, but because of like immigration, let's just say, right?
Yeah.
That was like the immediate turn off, and I'm just like, well, I don't fuck with him, whatever. And then but then a lot of people would say like, well, he's really good with money, so he like takes care of businesses.
Yeah.
It's like a pro and a con,
Yeah.
But I feel like on both parties there might be like that distinction where it's like, well, it's good because of this, but bad because of this. And
also like social media and the news, like they just brand, like the party a certain way. And that, I feel like people that don't do their research and they're just going based off that affects the view,
Yeah, I could talk all day about, I think, the media, and I think what people forget, the media, they're corporations too. They're trying to make a profit too. And so people like to talk about, the media is kind of like, they do their duty when they spread, the information. They're the watchdog of the government, right? They're telling us what's going on. But don't forget that these people are making money too. and they're going to say things to sell newspapers, to get you to watch their programs, right? To get on
it's
their
like
websites.
Clickbait, right?
Yeah, clickbait, right?
Yeah.
And so what sells? Division, extremism, right? The crazy things that are going on. They like to push that because that sells. That's my opinion, right? That's how
No, I
view
mean,
it,
yeah,
right?
that's how I see it too. Like,
And so it's like, when we talk about the media, we also need to talk about their duty to the country, right? To do their job in a way that's like neutral and fair and presents the sides equally in a fair way. So, but that's a whole thing. We could talk. I have very strong opinions on that.
I know. I saw your face when I said that, and I was just like, yeah, I get.
But yeah, no, and then going back to like the AI thing, why it's so important is because, I use ChatGPT a lot for a variety of things, and artificial intelligence is going to be useful in that you could really have AI be a news reporter for you, right? And just kind of surf the web and then present information to you based on your preferences. That's really cool and really useful. But the danger behind that is misinformation. Is it getting information that is correct? Is it influencing you one way or another, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to look at that. What rules do we need to put in place to make sure that the information you're getting is right, correct, and that it's not biasing you one way or the other.
I was going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, because even now, like when you Google something, like if it's a question of whatever, like the first thing that pops up is like AI assisted something, and it kind of like summarizes what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
When before it's just like, the articles or whatever.
About to look something up.
Well, let's go on a quick break and then you can look that up.
We'll be back, guys.
Yes, sir.
We were on break, guys, and we were talking about like some crazy topics, right? Abortion being one of them, right? And you said, what did you say?
I said, I think it's a refreshing take, but I'll tell you and then we'll see.
Okay.
Okay.
So what's your take about abortion?
This is like one of the many things that people
touch. Yeah, they're sensitive about.
Yeah. So okay. I think the abortion issue is always difficult to talk about because there's such passionate views on both ends.
Yeah.
And I think my take more is focused on I'm willing to have my side lose on the issue. I'm more concerned about how we decide the issue. Okay. So my personal perspective is that, if I was king of the United States or something, right, I would probably limit abortion up to like, I'd want to talk with experts about it or something, but like 8 to 12 weeks or something like that, right?
To have the abortion.
Like that's the cutoff, right?
Okay, so after that you can't have an abortion?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Okay.
Don't hold me on it, okay?
Yeah.
Well, no,
I wouldn't even know either.
Right.
No, well, 8 to 12 weeks. 8 weeks is 2 months.
Yeah.
And then 3 months. And at 8 months, yes.
So it's a trimester.
It's a trimester, yeah. Mm-hmm. And don't hate me, guys, right? But yeah, at 8 months, when we went to because I didn't find out I was pregnant until I was eight weeks, right? Mm-hmm. And literally what she said was, oh my God, he says an orange seed.
An orange seed, the size of an orange seed.
Yeah, so tiny, but there's still a heartbeat, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I know a lot of people would be like, 8 weeks, but there's a heartbeat, but then it's just like, I get it, kind of,
You do get it?
Huh?
Okay, yeah.
Because let me say why.
To me, I fell in love with our son as a seed.
Yeah,
so
I did
I'm already
too. I did too, but let me explain why I get the 8 to 12 weeks for me, right? Okay. I think it just depends on the situation. You know what I mean? Because God forbid, like it was a situation where it's a little like a kid, gets
essayed
and ends up pregnant. Mm-hmm. And like that, I'd be like, do it, right? As a grown up, if it's like a thing where, like this, like if we're married, obviously I'd be like, no, that's not okay. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I just think it's one of those, whatchamacallit? based on the situation.
Yeah, but then
It depends on the
But then that's
situation.
when a lot of people are like,
It doesn't matter.
it's a baby.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
Life
not the
is
baby's
life.
fault.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, and so I mean, I think I lean more that way, but I know, not everyone holds my view. So I think 8 weeks is probably, for me personally, it's pushing it, but I think that's something that I could.
Yeah.
That's where I could settle on it. It's not something that I, it's not the issue that I'm concerned the most with. But the reason I like talking about it is because I think it's more important to discuss how we decide. Is it 8, 10, 12? How we decide that limit is more important.
Yeah. And how do you decide?
And so my take on it is every state should be allowed to decide for itself. If California wants to do something crazy, even if I disagree with it, that's your choice. If Texas wants to do something more conservative, right? Texas's choice. You're free to try to change the law in the state. What I'm absolutely against is federal actors, right? Federal institution, whether it's Congress or whether it's the Supreme Court, making that decision for everybody. Okay. And this is where I like to talk about the United States Constitution, right? People forget that the most important thing isn't actually our rights. The most important thing is the separation of powers that the Constitution, allows for, right? You have the executive, the legislative, the judicial, right? The president, Congress, the courts. And in the Constitution, it tells us what the federal government can legislate, what it can make laws about, and the rest is meant for the states. Right? Abortion isn't one of those things. Abortion was always meant to be legislated by the states. But in the 60s and 70s, there's this big movement, and they essentially, long story short, got this decision from the Supreme Court called Roe versus Wade that said abortion is now a protected right.
Yeah.
And you have a right to an abortion, right, throughout the land, right, anywhere in the United States. Recently, we had the Dobbs versus Jackson decision that overturned that and said, no, that was wrong. You don't have any federal right to an abortion. We're going to push it back to the states. A lot of people were pissed.
Yeah, because
Right.
I saw I think, what year did that happen?
That was 2021, I believe. And I was at the Supreme Court, I wasn't protesting. I was just like watching,
Yeah, because at that point, it affects women
Yeah.
the most, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I would see it's my body, I get to decide.
Sure.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, right?
Yeah.
But going back to the 8 weeks, 12 weeks, or whatever, if you come to me, not me, right, but like my personal opinion, if you come to me with like the same scenario of a kid, right, getting essayed, and getting pregnant, and she's 20 weeks, I'd be like, I'm sorry, like, right, in my mind, because there's like a full blown baby
Yeah.
at this point. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like the whole time once you're pregnant, there's a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Right. But I still go back to where it just depends in the scenario, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is, I think, like a great discussion we're having, and the discussion that needs to be had in our communities. It needs to be among us, the people, and we vote on it together and decide. Not some court thousands of miles away, not a group of legislators thousands of miles away. It needs to be
because
made by us.
Yeah, because you don't know what community you're living in.
Yeah.
Right? Like if our neighborhood is so bad, like that it's just we're getting kidnaps like every day, or I don't know, it's just I would think, right? Like unless like if you live in like a good neighborhood, I'm assuming, I don't know, like
Yeah. And so
is that what you're going like what you're
Well, my point is, I think the refreshing thing is, I'm out here preaching, let the states decide.
Yeah.
Right. And that's
us.
That's usually a message that's directed to Democrats, because some Democrats think that abortion should be a federal right and that Roe versus Wade should be the law of the land. But I also say it to Republicans, because after the Dobbs decision, there are some Republicans who are saying we should have a right to life, right? So that abortion is canceled throughout the land, and
Yeah.
that should be a federal law, right? And it's like, well, I thought you guys said we're about like states deciding. So why are you trying to have the federal government be pro-life? Why are you trying to have the federal government pick a side when you said the states should decide, right? It's kind of hypocritical, right? And so I think when you have Republicans out there saying things like that, like saying like, oh, let the states decide, you know, if we want to be pro-life here, let us be pro-life. And then turn around and be like, yeah, pro-life should be everywhere in the United States. I don't care if California wants, you know, to be a pro-abortion state. This should be the law of the land. It's like, no, that goes against our principles of limited government, small government, local government, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like calling that out on my conservative side, right? The people that are supposed to be, you know, we're supposed to be on the same side. I don't see it as the same side, but the conservative leaning people who are preaching states' rights, who are saying the state should be deciding this issue.
So
don't
as the state
deciding
deciding this issue would be like, it's either yes or no.
It doesn't have to be, you know, that's the other thing. It doesn't have to be a black or white thing, like yes, no, right? Like there's, you know, I'm for exceptions, right? So like the SA thing that you brought up, that's usually recognized in some states as an exception. Some states vary on the is it 8 weeks, 10 weeks, you know, X amount of weeks. States vary on that, right?
Yeah.
And you know, that's fine.
I think that's what I'm at. I'm at the, it's not a black and white.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm not against it, I'm not for it. I'm just like,
and I think just trying to be, you know, trying to put yourself in the other person's shoes, like, right? Like I get it, you know, for people that are, you know, I guess more religious, right? Like I'm Christian,
for sure.
right? And they see life as like this, you know, every aspect of life as this thing that's sacred and should be protected. But, you know, not everyone holds those beliefs, right? There's people out there who hold, you know, other religions or maybe don't believe in God or anything. And they see that, you know, fetus is just, you know, as what they refer to it sometimes, a lump of cells, right? And so you can't, I really hate it when people, especially Christian people, say like, you know, you're make a moral attack on people who are pro abortion, because it's like, you know, from their perspective, they don't hold the same perspective as you, so it's not really responsive to their point of view, right? Yeah. And so, you know, allowing each other, understanding like we're the United States, we're binded by principles and ideas, right? Not by a perspective on any single issue. Yeah. Right.
You know, something that for one of my birthdays, I went to the, what's it called? That one clinic by 45 and
Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood, yeah. Well, I was like you know, in church because we're Catholics, right? So I remember for one of my birthdays, I went with my cousin, and the church invited us to go pray outside. Yeah. The Planned Parenthood, and we went to go pray the rosary. Yeah. You know, because they're like, the way they explained it to me was, we're praying the rosary for the kids that are like getting aborted, the babies, right? Oh, okay. That are getting aborted. So we're praying so that their spirits and all this stuff, right? And but I didn't understand it. You know, I was with my cousin, and we were there because my birthday's in December, so it was just so cold, you know. But now that I'm like older, I see what I go based. I don't really what do you call it? Like, I don't post my opinion like on social media, because people can take it the wrong way. Yeah. You know, this is like a conversation you can have with somebody like face to face. Yeah. And like I said, like, I'm pretty sure people are going to be like, oh my God, she's for it. Yeah. But literally miss the whole part where I'm like, it depends on the situation. It's not a black and white, because we've talked about it, right? And we see it like that, right?
Yeah, like earlier, the example that you were giving about if somebody was to come to you and they're like, it's 20 weeks. At that point, it's just like, have the baby. And now there's more options. Yeah. So now there's adoption. You can, you know, there's, you missed, you know, it's like you missed your mark or whatever. And now here's your next options. Like, and then that's it, you know. But I do think, like, it's crazy because I don't think about abortion that like, that heavy. I have my, you know, to me, my mom is just, you know, it goes back to like my mom being religious too. And she's just like, if you abort, you're going to hell type shit, you know. It's that simple, you know what I mean? Yeah. So growing up, I'm always like, okay, abortion is bad, like just never do that, you know.
But if you tell your mom now, you give her a scenario, the kid and
Man,
SA.
throw in a family member as an example in there,
And she'd be like,
it'll change.
Okay, I get it,
Yeah.
right? It's
But-
not black and white.
Yeah, but like I said, I feel like if somebody did it, if it's somebody that I know aborted a kid or something, or I feel like I wouldn't care. Like I'd be like, I guess, like I don't agree with it, but I mean,
that's your life.
Yeah,
you know?
and then I move on with mine. It's just, yeah. So I did want to ask, like, where do we stand right now? Like, what's today's laws on that, or what?
Yeah, so I mean, every state varies. So you have kind of like,
and what about for Houston or in Texas? Like,
I don't know the specific law regarding abortion in Texas.
But for right now, it's the
probably
states.
It's up to each and every state.
And you're trying to keep it like that.
I think it should be kept like that. I think I would probably advocate for more, leaning pro-life more, right? But I'm against anybody who tries to advocate for like, I don't care if it was like, involving SA or anything like that. Like,
Yeah,
I have to have.
Just
And it's
just,
like, man, like if I had something like that happen, like God forbid to like my like little girl, if I had a little girl or something like that, like I don't
no, like it's just those no way.
Things like that go out the window, and you're just caring for that one individual, and then
but we also have to remember, I think too, like the majority of situations are not that, right? The majority of situations are like
one night
being
stand.
careless, you know.
And that's where I'm like, all right, you're dumb. Like, wow.
Not you're dumb, but like
No, yeah, like if it's like being careless type thing. Like,
like it's just because you said he's like careless, and you're like you're being dumb.
Oh no, like the individual, like it's just
No,
like.
I know, but he named the individual like careless, and you're like you're dumb. Like, no, but I think the way you worded it, where it's not black and white. It's the way it should.
Yeah.
People should get that, know.
And be human enough to know exceptions.
Yeah.
And that's really what I'm trying to say is like I'm willing to lose. There is no specific issue that I'm not willing to lose on.
Yeah.
What I care more about anything is the process. How do we decide these things? Is it the federal government or the state government? And are we having these discussions amongst ourselves and voting about it?
Yeah.
And if we have this discussion and I'm not able to persuade you to vote the way that I want you to vote and I lose, cool. Like, I'll try again next year.
At least
or
the
I'll just have
discussion
to,
was done.
Yeah, I'll just have to put up with it. But at least we had the discussion and we went about it in the right process.
Yeah.
The part of the reason I'm running is because I'm concerned people are starting to go outside of that process, right? People are running to the courts for things that instead of trying to debate y'all, I could just be like, well, I'm going to go sue somebody and try to get, favorable case law from a court. And then you'd be like, well, why couldn't you just talk to me about it, right?
You as the congressman.
No, just like as a citizen,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is now we're getting to a point where people are getting violent, right? We had the January 6th, attacks on the Capitol. I don't know if y'all remember that, right? Mm-hmm. We had, a wave of protests throughout the country. Some of it, related to Black Lives Matter. Some of it related to other things. But some of them got to the point where there was looting and things were set on fire.
I don't understand the whole looting shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, you have reason to be upset, but that's not the way to go about it.
Yeah.
Right.
I just think I don't agree with that, right? Mm-hmm. But I also think that it's just one of those things where they start acting out like, okay, like let's put it like this, like a kid, right? Mm-hmm. Like if he's not being heard, he's gonna start acting out. And I feel like people are like that in some way, that start looting, right? Because I feel like they're probably thinking, well, let's do this and get attention, right? Instead of actually like talking to somebody. But how do they know who they can talk to? Or how do they know they're gonna be heard, without causing a scene? Because normally
even that though, I don't even think it's like they're thinking like that.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're alluding to a business that has nothing to do with
like,
it.
Let's say it's like a 5% of the people that are upset start looting.
Yeah.
The rest are just like followers. They're like, okay, they're breaking in. Fuck it, I'm taking my stuff too. Like, it's just, I don't even think they're thinking like, oh, I'm upset. it's just like, hey, it's a free for all. Like
it's an opportunity.
It becomes that's how it becomes so big and stuff, But
I know. Sometimes we don't share like our thoughts because I feel like people were gonna be like, "What?" Right?
Yeah,
well, Roland shares more.
I have my platform. I can say what I want, but I get it.
But now that was like a touchy subject, right? The abortion. And then I like how you're saying it though. Like I like that you're saying the process
of how that's decided.
Yeah, because I never even thought about it like that, Like I didn't think that the Texas had its own, right? That it was just across the board, like the United States. But I'm glad that it's something that the people should know, that this is the reason why we're voting, because we want to vote as to how things happen. There's a step to everything, basically.
Exactly.
Right? And we're missing all these steps that we don't even know that are there. Like, well, some of us, right? But, that's why he's here.
You know how you're saying that some people like a citizen, right? Okay, so you essentially, like the congressman would essentially be the middleman to get to the, like, what?
So basically, I'd be like the voice for our district in Congress, and what Congress does is they vote on laws that relate to all sorts of things, right?
Mm-hmm. So you're getting you're hearing us out, and based off what you're hearing on, like, on our district, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna go vote based off what we want.
Yes,
right?
Yes, and our interests, right? Because then you also think about it like geographically, we have different industries, right?
Of course.
That are more essential to us than somebody from California, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have the medical center here, we have a big port here. The cost of living here is different than in other cities, and so you're gonna have different interests. But also you're gonna have, like, I've lived in Seattle, I've lived in Washington D.C., I've lived in San Francisco. You're also just gonna have different cultural differences.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
The United States is a big country, and once you go out far enough, you get people with different, they live different ways, they have different values, and so that comes out, I think, also through your representatives. So.
Okay. Did you have another question?
Yeah, like I'm thinking like how like let's say, okay, if as a congressman, right? If you see people are there's like a debate. There's something like people are just angry over immigration or something, like that's the spark of interest. Like that's what people are talking about on social media or whatever. Are you gonna address that? Like, would you say like, all right, we're gonna have a big meeting, everybody come to, I don't know, like.
Yeah, I guess are you gonna ask like, how is he gonna hear the people?
No. Like, I feel like even me, I'm just regular schmegular person or whatever. I'm just on social media. I'm like, okay, I guess this is going on,
Yeah.
But as a congressman, like, you'd be like, okay, obviously this is a topic of interest. Let me hold a big meeting. From there, you get everybody's opinions and you take it to wherever you need to go. And then is that how that works? Or
well, what's cool about, I guess, being a congressman is you'd have a platform, right? So you can I think that's part of it, listening to people and what's I guess trending in your community and what issues are relevant at the time. But you can also bring, some issues to light that perhaps people aren't talking about.
Okay,
So,
that's what I was
for example, like that's probably the biggest one right now is process. Getting people, like, we have 750,000 people in the district. In the last election, around only 100,000 voted, right? So part of it is, hey, we have all these positions. They're making important decisions for us. Not a lot of people are voting. We should be out and voting, right? And especially when it comes to, like, the immigration issue, right? I think it's somewhat, what sort of example for the folks that are, really big on advocating for, like, a reasonable path to citizenship. What sort of example are we setting as Hispanic people that we're advocating for people to become citizens and have these rights and be able to vote? But most of us don't vote ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like we need to set the example, right?
Or like, how can you get angry if somebody's saying, oh, send everybody back.
Yeah.
But you're not even voting to make the difference to stop that.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
I see what you're saying.
So, my thing is, Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, in the middle. Like, I want everybody voting, even if you don't agree with me, even if you vote against me. Hopefully you won't, but even if you vote against me, right? I want everybody voting. I think it makes for a better community, a better nation, and it's essential, right?
Yeah.
These people are making a lot of important decisions. So.
Yeah, I do think that a lot of people just think to themselves like, I'm just
My
one
vote's
person. It's not even
not
gonna
gonna
matter
be-
like that.
But it does.
It does, and a lot of the readings that I've been doing on just random history books and stuff, and you hear a lot about the great disasters of the past few centuries, right? And you think that when things get bad, it comes from the top down, right? It's President Trump that's doing all the bad things, or Republicans are like, it's President Biden that's made this everything so bad.
Mm-hmm.
It starts from the bottom. It starts from us.
Mm-hmm.
And when we don't vote, when we don't use our voice, and we're not watching what the government does, that's when things get bad. And that's when leaders that are extreme or, have these cult-like personalities start coming into power because we're letting them, right? Another big thing is people say, why are so many congressmen so old? Why don't we have term limits?
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping us from kicking them all out right now. You could vote them all out next year. You could. But nobody votes.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to bring to light.
Yeah.
That's one of the things, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, with that being said, let's go on a quick break and we'll be back.
Yes, sir.
And we are back. So.
Yeah. So off camera, we were talking, and then, I'm just going to say it because we it's just no filter type shit. But yeah, you said you didn't want to go back to the whole story about your dad and stuff, but it was part of the pushing yourself to get into politics and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the reason I reached out at first was I always thought it was really cool how y'all put yourselves out there. It takes a lot of guts to start something like this, with any new endeavor, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would like to do something like this. People have ideas, but very few people actually go out and do it and try, right?
Yeah.
Even though it's there's a chance of failure, right? Which you guys obviously are doing great, but it doesn't always work out.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah, really, thank you.
And so for me, what that was I don't come from a lot of money. I don't come from a family that's ever been in politics. I don't have any lawyers or engineers in the family, right? But the drive, I think, to do this stemmed a lot from my dad. And I think seeing him pass away, I was present for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that made me aware that life is very short. You don't know how long you're going to be here. You think, death is very far away, and, pray to God that it is, but you don't know. And so those ideas, those dreams, those things that you want to accomplish, right? Try them, do them, right?
Yeah.
You're not, what sort of life is that to live looking back saying, what if I would have tried? What if I would have tried that podcast, right? What if I would have tried that election?
You know what? It's
Yeah.
crazy that you touch on that because that's true. We've talked about it on here before, on some episodes, right? Where I was gonna die, in 2020.
Yeah.
February of 2020, right before COVID hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was something super random, internally bleeding. I didn't even know I was internally bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel after that, that happened in 2020, right?
Yeah.
And I feel barely now. We were just talking that I was telling him man, I feel that should have been a wake, it did, it was a wake up call for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, I was about to die.
Yeah.
It's not a joke. It just, I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's how many years ago? 3?
3.
So I was 25 when that happened, and it was just out of the blue. It was just random, and super healthy 25-year-old, and then internally bleeding over nothing, just something so random, and that I feel that when did we start the podcast? In 2021.
I guess. I mean, I feel like you're
like
the one
2
that
years,
knows.
yeah, like 2 years, like a year after that in 2021, you know. And I feel like slowly, like it's just one of those things. Like he said that he had you haven't released it, right?
The what?
By the time that you release this, would you have released your brainstorming?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going like Monday.
Yeah, so basically it's just put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Because you just never know.
Exactly.
Like people on TikTok blew up during COVID time.
Yeah.
Because they were posting themselves dancing and just...
Yeah, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of like just when I started the podcast, I just felt like, all right, it's just me and her. We're in a room, we're just talking, and probably nobody's listening type shit, you know. Yeah. And slowly it became like, okay, like now we're getting comments. We get more comments now than we did last year. Like maybe last year was just like my cousin. Like it was just like, hey, I love this. Him. Yeah, you know, shout out Javi or whatever. But yeah, and I was like, okay, it's my cousin plus like listeners, you know.
Yeah.
And now you can tell who listens, and you know, but we're still keeping the same character, we're keeping the same like personalities, and nothing's changing.
It's just growing now.
It's just growing, and yeah. So I'm not at the point. I feel like I'm not at the point where I have to like really watch what I say, you know. Like I still say what I want, I still act the way I do. But yeah, and then same goes for social media. So in social media, I feel like that's where people relate more, because a YouTube channel and a podcast is like, okay, like you're having to buy equipment, you're having to buy, and it's more, it takes more. Social media is just like you have your phone, you know, that's like your only equipment you need. And even then people feel camera shy, like they don't want to, they'll take pictures, but they don't want to talk. Yeah. Or they'll do TikToks without speaking, and it's just music. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I feel like the first step would be like, okay, let me say something and see what people say or
and I'm
might
like
not say.
I'm like the opposite, because we have a podcast and I don't take pictures. Like I don't take selfies. Like I hate them. Like, you know. Yeah. But I was like telling him today, I'm like, I want to like step out of my comfort zone and put myself out there a little bit more. You know, just to try it, because it's just.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask you, because you have two profiles, right? You have like your personal and then
yeah. So I have my personal, and then I have the 5th of November 2024 Instagram, and it's
that's the name, the handle.
Yeah, at 5th of November.
That's pretty cool.
And so it's 5th of November for a few reasons. So it's 5th of November is my birthday. That's one.
Wait, what?
Yeah. What? So and then election
Happy
day.
Early birthday.
Election day next year is on my birthday, right? And then one of the things that I was kind of inspired by is there's this movie, V for Vendetta, where there's this, you know, guy who starts this like movement, and he starts it on the 5th of November, and he says a year from now, on the next 5th of November, I want all the citizens to like come out, and we're gonna make this big change. And so like that's kind of the idea behind it, right? Like we're gonna come out on 5th of November, you know, with this campaign kickoff event. And, you know, we're announcing this big event. And next year, we're going to bring a big change to District 29 when we win the election, right?
So, that's so cool. Honestly, it's Milo.
Yeah.
You know, he came in earlier and he was like, I was just blowing you a kiss.
That's cute.
But that's super cool. Yeah. Honestly, happy early birthday.
Thank you. Yeah.
What time is the event? Tell them.
So the event is from 1 to 5 p.m. I'll be giving like a little speech at like 3 o'clock. It's going to be food. We're going to have the shirts and caps and a photo booth and all that. So yeah, you just stop by for a few minutes. You can stay the whole time. Yeah.
That is so cool. I wish we could go, right?
Yeah.
Like it sounds.
I mean, but obviously this is already, it's going to go live way after.
Yes.
But so we hope it went well.
Yeah, we hope it went well. But you can send us the flyer though, and we'll just post it.
Yeah, we'll post it.
Or if you post it on your story, like tag us.
Okay.
And if you want to hide it, you know, you can. You know how, like, when you post something, you can just add somebody and then hide it.
Okay.
Yeah, off screen.
Like off screen. I get you. Yeah. So like that, we can just get the notification and repost it for you, like just in case, because people, you never know who wants to like.
Yeah, and that'd be a big help, because we're also, you know, a big part of it is like the people that are like the first supporters were like older people who already vote, or already like involved, and it's like that's great. But I want people like our age, right? Like my cousins, my friends, like y'all, like to come out, vote. Even if they don't support me, right? I want people to be involved, right?
Yeah, I think the movement of like people need to vote.
Yeah.
is what's important.
And do you
like,
on the 5th of November Instagram or even your personal? I know you did one where like you gave away like 2 tickets like for the Astros when the stuff was going on. But are you like being active on there, like just talking about certain things that or
so that's something that I'm trying to be better at.
Okay.
I have the guy my friend that made the shirts, my cousin that made the shirts and the caps, he's like running the page.
Okay.
And so honestly it's like it's I mean it's hard, you know, I'm balancing like being an attorney with doing this on my free time, so it's like it's hard to make content. Like I give props to y'all, like when I see y'all I'm like, what the heck?
That's all him right here. This is this is all this man right
like,
here.
The editing and all that stuff is like, I'm like, oh man. So but I'm trying to do that more because I think that's gonna help like it. I'm trying to do more like we're working on making some like educational content, like what does a congressman do? Like that was kind of the purpose behind the Astros one. Is like, do you know what district you live in, right?
Yeah.
I wish I would have like seen that one, so I could have just looked it up and like.
But that is why that is why I'm asking, because it's like how I was telling you, like when with my brainstorming stuff like on social media, because I do like the little fit videos and stuff, but then like there's the brainstorming where I talk to creatives and it's just literally like a minute video just on a certain subject. So you know, like I'm thinking like idea wise, you know, like not saying what you need to do or anything, but it's just like ideas that I'm thinking off the bat is things like that, like little bits and pieces of information, like
one question and that's like your
write down like something that people might not know, boom, or 5 things you need to know about, boom. And then you know it's like it seems very simple and it can be, you know, but
I know it's time consuming. It can be
and like I was telling you, like off camera, like the overthinking and second guessing of it and recording it, erasing it, it's just like it's what sets you back, you know. Like
I do that all the time. Like I tell him, I'm like, oh my god, like so many videos I've recorded just for like I don't even. Honestly, the only reason I record for Alegres Milagros is because I want to take the toys over there. But if not, I wouldn't be. I don't even do it for my own brand, but I do it for the toys. Like, just, you know? Yeah. And I'm always like, I've said it before where I'm like looking at myself, I'm like, ew, why do I look like that? Or why did I say it like that? You know? Yeah. But it shouldn't be. It should be just one of those things where it's like, if you're live, people are seeing how you really are. And you never know who's going to gravitate towards you or not, you know?
That's true.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like this platform too, because I feel like it's very just like you said, no filter, just like a genuine discussion, you know.
Yeah, but like again, we really appreciate you coming on, bro, and you know, I really hope that people, you know, gravitate towards what you say and just are encouraged, like, and get encouraged to vote. You know, and take part of like
I know you encouraged me to vote.
And then we did, you know, like I was telling you again off camera, before you got here, we were already like, all right, we should take this as an opportunity to like just learn, get knowledge, more, you know?
Yeah. Because it's just like I told you, like there's no to an extent, right? There's no dumb questions. Like it should be something where, you know, I'm asking you, and I feel like okay, I'm getting the answers, so I'm like it's that doubt is like, you know, getting cleared for me or something. Am I saying that right? Yeah. But did you have anything else that you wanted to say before we wrap it up?
Thanks so much for having me on. I think the discussions we're having here today are the ones that we need to be having more often.
For sure.
And I hope that we're going to have that, you know, while we're campaigning throughout the next year and when the election next 5th of November. So,
and you're going to be more active on your both accounts, you said?
Definitely the campaign page. You know, personally, social media, like I don't use it that much, but for the campaign, for sure. So 5th of November, follow it on Instagram.
Okay. It'll be on the description below,
we'll have that. We'll have that
both his
up.
accounts. Yeah.
Cool.
That's
and the
super
website.
Cool. And the website, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. So other than that, bro, we really appreciate you.
Thank you for the knowledge.
Yeah. Thank you for the knowledge and the information
and the step by step.
Get
to voting, guys.
Yeah. Other than that, guys, you know, we appreciate you watching the episode. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like the page.
And shout out to him because he brought us some beers today.
Oh yeah! Shout out for the beers. Shout out for the merch.
Yes.
Other than that, much love. That's it.
Peace. Subscribe.